Alright guys, what is going on? How are you guys all doing tonight? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and I was hoping to go live for this, but time crunch again. Felt it would be easier if I just pre-recorded this. Once I get some stuff caught up with that I'm very behind on with this channel right now, I will probably start going live again. But right now, I think it would be quicker if I just recorded and just upload a bunch at the same time. Again, you can blame the baseball winter meetings for falling so behind. And me just having a life. But we're going to come up here and quickly talk about this past Friday night's edition of SmackDown, which took place on this past Friday, December 9th, 2022. And we were here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was not in attendance. I had other things to do that night. But maybe next time they come to town, I will attend. We'll see. But anyway, so this was a solid show. I wouldn't say it was the most exciting episode of SmackDown. A couple of interesting things. Most of it was just solid stuff that we've already seen. Some character building, but didn't knock my socks off too much, but it was still solid. It was a solid, fun edition of SmackDown. A couple of things I'll nitpick about, but, it didn't hurt. Didn't waste my time. It was just a little fun and a little bit of nostalgia as well. As we, of course, celebrate Kurt Angle's, 54th birthday, I think it was. Oh, and we also saw his storyline son also for the first time in quite some time. We'll talk about that quickly as well when we get to that. But yeah, we'll run through this, talk about it, go from there. The show opened up with the tag title match with the Usos taking on the Brawling Brutes, Pete Dunne and Sheamus. We've definitely seen these guys have matched several times. This was originally supposed to be Sheamus and Drew McIntyre taking on the Usos, but I guess Drew McIntyre was not medically cleared to wrestle on the show. That sucks. So instead we had Sheamus and Pete Dunne. I keep saying they're definitely booking him so much better. Just giving the look back helped and whatnot. Although, funny thing was, though, when I watched this with my fiance, she actually mentioned that she even agreed with the Sherlock Holmes cap that he looks like he reminds her a lot of Grover Dill from the Christmas Story, which I could still say that too. Now that they've kind of toned down on him being the caged animal, Pete. Butch, and he's still Butch, but he's definitely Pete Dunne with the name Butch instead, basically. So, okay, just please give him the name back. It'll make things so much better, but another great match, another banger after banger after banger. We've seen the match between these guys how many times, but it was still a solid match. Of course, Sami Zayn does get involved, and Ridge tried to play equalizer. But of course, Solo Sikoa takes out Ridge. I think the match ended when Jey Uso got out of a bitter end. And they countered hitting Pete Dunne with a 1D to get the victory and to retain the tag titles. Retain the tag titles twice in a week? Cool with me. Still booking them strong as tag champs. And again, Brawling Brutes, not going to complain. Look great as well. I believe there was a spot in the match also, I think, where Sheamus and Pete Dunne were doing the 10 beats of the Bound Room, but Pete went a little more nuts and whatnot, did 20 or 30 beats of the Bound Room or something like that. It was crazy, but there was that. Backstage, then we have the birthday boy, Kurt Angle, walking around with Gable Steveson. Haven't seen him for a while, I think since WrestleMania, I'd say. And he runs into Braun Strowman, and Kurt introduces Gable, and Braun says when he's ready, he'll give him these hands, basically. We had a segment also with LA Knight. And actually, before we had that, it was advertised that John Cena will be returning to WWE on a December 30th edition of SmackDown. Is he going to declare himself for the Rumble? Are they setting up something for Mania? Well, since he's going to be returning on SmackDown, yes, he is a free agent. He can go anywhere he wants. I still think WrestleMania should be John Cena versus Austin Theory. If he's going to be on SmackDown, though, maybe they'll be doing John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin and hyping up on SmackDown. They could. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm going to guess that maybe, just maybe, we might see Cena in the Rumble. If he's coming back at the end of the year. Because, well, then again, he did come back because in 2019, remember, he was back for a couple weeks. Didn't he put over Finn Balor? I thought he put over Finn Balor. He did. In the match leading up to Balor getting that title shot against Brock Lesnar at the 2019 Rumble. He did. And he was supposed to be in the Rumble, but an injury took him out. Because they were teasing a match with him and McIntyre. Which would have not been bad. I'd still be okay with seeing John Cena and Drew McIntyre have a match. But the match that I still want the most right now is John Cena and Austin Theory. Okay, but I forgot to address that. But anyways, we have LA Knight who came out. We haven't seen him for a few weeks. So, as I keep saying, I do like seeing Bray Wyatt back. I do enjoy these cryptic, mysterious promos. I'm not going to lie, though, I do feel like it's starting to drag a little bit. Like, you would have thought we would have gotten, like, sorry, like some other, like, personality of Bray's or something. Like, it's starting to feel just a little bit repetitive. Just a little bit. So I was glad they did bring back LA Knight and kind of like did something a little bit different here. But anyways, Knight gets in the ring and calls out Bray Wyatt. It's obvious he struck a nerve in him. Struck fear in him. Week after week, he gets blindsided, and Bray says he didn't do it. And if he did, there'd be nothing left. But Knight's calling his bluff because every time he gets put down, here he is. He also runs footage back of him being exposed, with his interviewers and whatnot, being hit in the background. He points out the Uncle Howdy masks and whatnot. You also get another slice of footage and again points out the mask again. He's interrupted by Uncle Howdy. We told him the door is closing. You'd have to be a cross-eyed halfwit to not see it's Bray behind all this. And he's going to go backstage and find him. Which he does, and I believe he walked into a locker room or something, and sees the shirt, and then turns around. There's a guy again in the Uncle Howdy mask, and lights go out. So I'm guessing LA Knight got taken down again, which sucks. But glad we saw something a little bit different, I thought, this week. But we'll see where this goes. We have some footage from earlier today with Legado del Fantasma being interviewed when they see that Shotzi's down screaming by a car with Ronda and Shayna walking away. They are interviewed later, and Ronda and Shayna played off like Shotzi could have fallen, or maybe she's just unlucky, and Ronda tells her to tell the China shop the Bulls are coming. And then Liv Morgan and Tegan Nox returned last week, rolled up, and Liv says they beat everyone except them. Shayna says if they mess with the Bull, they'll get the horns, basically. Set for a tag match later on in the show, which Shayna Baszler again took a pin the same way she's taken. Well, okay, no, not the same. She took a pin off of Raquel Rodriguez because I guess Raquel and Ronda's the next match. That's what I'm hearing for Rumble. It's Raquel and Ronda. Fine. But Raquel causes a distraction. Shayna Baszler gets pinned after, I think, Liv, did like a stunner. And then Tegan knocks her with the Shining Wizard finish. Nice to get the victory. But again, how many more freaking pins is Shayna Baszler going to eat? I'm tired of seeing her lose. Shayna should not. If the idea is putting Shayna with Ronda is to make Shayna give her that killer instinct back, she's still getting pinned. She shouldn't be getting pinned like that. But It was nice to see Tegan though pick up a victory though when she's back. We also had a match with Legado del Fantasma and the Viking Raiders, which was brief and it ended in a DQ because Hit Row came out and they all brawled. Basically set up for a triple threat tag match next week with Hit Row, Legado del Fantasma, and the Viking Raiders. Fine. Again, we have the main roster call up, the returning, and, the ones under, character change. Okay, 3 fresh tag teams trying to add some more depth to the roster. Fine. Because, again, I like Hit Row. I mean, I won't lie. They're not quite the same without Swerve, but they're still fine. Legado del Fantasma, again, like Santos Escobar I enjoy. Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wild, though, meh. They have their nights where I'm for them, nights where I'm like, they're just jobbers. But Viking Raiders, again, I definitely do like this whole thing with, Valhalla, whatever they call Sarah Logan, which, again, I'm okay with that name change. Like I've always said, the Viking Raiders, I feel like, have always had, the wrestling ability. It's just, again, when they brought them up, they completely drained the hell out of their characters. That's what hurt them. But now, since they're getting some character back to them, now I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling it. So, I am intrigued by this triple threat match next week, for sure. Let me see here. That basically brought out to a brawl and whatnot. LA Knight got attacked by Uncle Howdy. We then have a backstage segment with Kurt Angle's birthday party when Jason Jordan, his storyline son from 2017-2018, who again has not wrestled since early 2018 because of a neck injury, and again, it's like his career is most likely done, and he's like a backstage producer, but I haven't seen him on TV since the segment they wrote him off. But yeah, he showed up, gave him a #1 dad card, and they embraced. Gosh, do I still miss American Alpha. Imagine if Triple H was in charge now. American Alpha on the main roster, oh my gosh. Oh, dear Lord, that was such a fun tag team. I'm so mad they split them up still. Anyways, though. We had the contract signing for the Intercontinental title match next week between Gunther and Ricochet. So they're out there with Imperium, of course, in the corner for Gunther. But then New Day come out. And they say, we all know how these things go. Gunther's going to get mad, and they're going to try to jump their boy Ricky, and they can't have that. They also said when Gunther gets mad, he has a resting Gunther face. Instead of a resting bitch face, it's a resting Gunther face, which I thought was pretty funny. They could have just stood in the back and rested up before their NXT tag title match, which, spoiler alert, apparently they won that match, so New Day is now NXT Tag Team Champions. Okay. They wanted though to be here and be ready for the inevitable brawl, because New Day and Imperium are somewhat feuding. Adam Pearce says they really think it has to end in a fight, and they ask him if he's ever watched wrestling, and he has to admit it's a good point. Gunther then signs the contract, reminds Ricochet that he took the title off of him, and he beat him twice. To prove also he is not worthy. Come next week, he's going to beat him again in the worst way possible. The difference between them is he respects this sport, and he's a pro wrestler, not a performer. But then Ricochet says if he can't perform, and jokes that there's pills for that, but say next week, everybody's going to see him take the title back. Gunther, of course, then slaps the table and chucks it like a madman out of the ring. And then, of course, a brawl breaks out. They have a 6-man tag match, which was fun. And New Day Ricochet win, with Ricochet hitting the shooting star press on the Ludwig Kaiser. And they beat Imperium, which again is Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci and Gunther. The Gunther wrestling resting Gunther face, or resting, whatever you want to call it. This was solid. I am intrigued to see what they do with Ricochet and Gunther next week. I think it will be a good match. Alpha Academy crashed Kurt Angle's party, and they basically were upset that, they weren't allowed in. They were invited, but the Street Profits were and whatnot. This was interesting. We had Jey Uso, the Bloodline hanging out, and then Jey Uso takes Sammy and says, hold on. He gives him a heads up that Roman will be here next week, and then Sammy should probably tighten his look, trim the beard and the hair. Sammy knows, yeah, right, but Jay says, I figured with everything, next week is going to be big for him, so he should look his best, and Sammy comes around to his point of view. So Sami Zayn is finally getting that haircut and getting that beard shaved. Is anyone besides me just a little bit worried that next week we may be getting that turn? Because the Bloodline are holding Sammy so high right now. And when they tell him to clean up, it's going to be a big night. They make it look like the Sami Zayn babyface of old. The pre-pandemic Sami Zayn, whenever he didn't have a bushy head and a bushy beard. Yes, a little bit of a beard, but not like a bushy beard and so much long hair. I have this slight bad feeling next week we could see the turn. Because again, the rumors are that Sammy's supposed to be facing Roman at Elimination Chamber. Maybe they write Sammy off TV next week. He returns at the Rumble, maybe? As a surprise entrant to the Rumble? I don't know, but I have this slight feeling they could pull the trigger next week and fire him. But we will see. We have this segment with Rey Mysterio's in the trainer's room when Scarlett and Karrion Kross roll up. And then Rey's ready to fight, but Kross nope, not here to do that. I just want to talk about Dominic. It's going to hurt, but Rey has shown restraint. And you came to SmackDown, now you're hurt. He talks about Scarlett's upbringing in Romania and tells a story of a thoroughbred horse she had as a kid. It got hurt, but the family needed the horse, so they strapped a cart to it, and it became a workhorse. But eventually, he couldn't pull the cart anymore, and she remembers the look in the horse's eyes when he realized he was helpless. There comes a time when you have to put an animal out of its misery. And then, I guess he got a problem here, and then Kross is like, nope, no problem. Looks at Rey and goes, tick-tock. So, again, they did tease a feud with Rey and Karrion last week with some card that he drew from some deck, and probably some tarot card deck or something like that. I'm intrigued by this. I've been saying, since Rey's come over to SmackDown, he's separated from Dominic. You have to have that story where, again, it feels like Rey's trying to get away from what's bothering him the most, but it's not working. Because somebody is in the ear reminding you of what's going on. Again, henceforth, a Johnny Gargano, Andrade Cien Almas feud from NXT when Ciampa was out hurt. I feel we're going to get that in this feud with Karrion Kross and Rey Mysterio. I still kind of feel there's some unfinished business, though, with Karrion Kross and Drew McIntyre. But this could be interesting. We'll, of course, see where that goes. We also get another Lacey Evans video about how much of a Marine she is and whatnot. She's changed gimmicks for the third or fourth time this year. We had that match with Liv and Tegan versus Ronda and Shayna. And then the main event, the ending of the show was Kurt Angle came out to a thunderous "You Suck" chants in his hometown, of course. Alpha Academy cut him off. I thought we would get a Shushoff Part 2 from when Raw was here back in August, but it wasn't a Shushoff Part 2. But Chad Gable comes out and he was beefing about being kept out of the party and said they dressed formal and even made Otis, who doesn't have a neck, wear a tie. Unless he was wearing a clip-on, of course. But no, Kurt didn't want Chad to outshine him at his own party, which is petty. And pettiness just sucks. The people are right for once. Kurt Angle really does suck. And Chad says the celebration is over and Otis is going to eat the cake. Eat the cake. And then Otis was fired up for that cake. And then Gable tells him to step aside before he ends up with another broken freaking neck. And then Kurt, though, gets out of the ring and starts walking away. Now the Academy having fun eating the cake. And I'm like, why is Kurt walking away? Kurt gets on the mic from the stage and he said, just so you know, though, if you're going to eat all that cake, you're going to need a lot of milk. And we're all like, oh boy. And yep, throw back to the Austin segment. Gable Steveson came out with a milk truck. They drove down the ramp. They pulled out a couple of crates of milk, threw a couple bottles in at the Alpha Academy, and then Kurt gets the milk hose and just sprays them down. Once that finishes, of course, Kurt and Steveson get in the ring, have a toast, and get a little bit of a milk bash in the ring, and the show went off the air. Fun little segment, of course, and nice little throwback as well. SmackDown got a B- for me this week. A lot of stuff we've seen before. It wasn't horrible. Some storyline development. Like I said, I think the thing that I was definitely intrigued the most by is this idea that they're telling Sami Zayn to clean up your look a little bit. Like I said, we could be seeing the Sami Zayn of old. Which again does get me wondering, are they going to pull the trigger on the bloodline turn on Sami Zayn next week? Oh shit, that's gonna be painful. But we'll wait and see, of course. But guys, that's my pre-recorded review of SmackDown. Like I said, hopefully I can get some stuff caught up this week, that I have a little more flexibility, that I can hopefully go live again soon. But again, it's just easier for me to record a bunch of stuff than upload a bunch of stuff. So that's what I'm going to do until I get caught up. So guys, what are your thoughts on SmackDown? Gave it the B-. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And make sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content to my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93. And also, don't forget to shout for Meatball Sub. And follow me on TikTok at the Club of the Man 1993. And maybe more social media to come as well. We'll find out soon though, guys. But till then, I'm checking out. I'll catch y'all later. Have a great rest of your Monday night. And peace out, everybody. Yeah, no, I will surprise. There's no